what I discovered for this liftgate actuator for a 2005 Nissan Murano. Okay, so this is what you see from inside the car. This is that emergency latch. You pull this way. It's got one, two, yeah, just two screws, I believe. Maybe they put a screw in here too. I think three. Maybe it's only two. I think it's just these two. You remove these two screws, and then this whole thing slides away. And this is the latch mechanism. By the way, this whole piece is $33, but some cars it's more, or somebody might just want to fix this and save the $33 just for the heck of it. I chose to just pay the $33 because I was having some problems with this as far as fixing it. I was running into some issues. So you can see here, these just clip together with some little protrusions here. It snaps in, so you have to actually pull this back and then pop it away, and then put like a little screwdriver in to keep that popped out, and then do the next one, put a little object in to keep it popped out, and just work your way around. And then this whole thing comes in half, and this panel comes off, and then you're left with the goodies of it. It's actually just a motor with a worm screw turning a gear, which turns this system. And remember, the emergency latch pulls this way, which then causes this to push, which then, I believe, yeah, it pushes this latch, I believe. Now, this little copper piece connects with, I believe, this little copper piece, and that connects to one of the four wires. And I believe that has something to do with telling the car whether this door has been unlocked or not. So it's like a feedback mechanism. And then this is like the ground of the feedback mechanism, I believe. So that's power, that's ground. So those are two of the four wires. The other two just run the motor. It only requires two wires, one positive, one ground, to run the motor. Now, I'm noticing I'm having a hard time turning this, unless if I help it. I have to like really try hard to get it to start moving. And so I don't know if it's just lacking grease or if the motor's kind of seized from being like burned up inside or something, but there, I got it to go. And then it's easier to turn it back the other way. See, it's even struggling with that. There we go, I got it to go back. So everything's kind of gummed up, it's just not moving well. So that's one of the reasons why I just decided to heck with it. Now, if you take this motor out though, you can see where the four pins go. The top two pins run along these two traces and actually enter into the bottom of the motor that run the motor. So that's how you know the top two pins are for the motor. The bottom two are for some type of sensing mechanism to be able to tell something about the latch. I think if it's unlatched or if it has been latched, the car will know, or something to that effect. It would be kind of interesting to test this motor with my power supply. Maybe we'll do that next. So then with the motor out, check it out. This thing turns pretty readily with the motor out. See that? And I wasn't able to do that with the motor in. It still turns a little bit hard, though. It's a little bit challenging, but not too bad. I think it could all need maybe grease, but it seems like it's rubbing against this upper right corner too, though. So that's how it works. It's got a spring that returns it to the left-hand side. So that would open the latch, and then this would return it back. And that spring, I'm not really sure exactly how you're supposed to set it up. So it's in there like that, and maybe it is correct how it is in there. Actually, that looks about right. And then this has like an open notched side, so I'm putting that at 6 o'clock, facing toward me. Actually, yeah, I think It has to be, because if you try putting it in, it won't go in any other way. So that's how it goes in. Then you turn it counterclockwise and it cranks itself back clockwise. So it all appears to be working there, but then with the motor on, once you get this lever action going, see, it's not wanting to turn now. Oh, I put it in wrong. So you got to put it in facing all the way to the left. Got it, okay. Alright, so that's working smooth. Real smooth now. But once you put the motor back in, it stops being smooth. See, now I'm not able to push it at all. Unless if I like help it by like turning up here to help, I can just barely get it going. And so that seems off to me. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, this can turn. I am getting it to go. So it just seems kind of weird, kind of off. But anyways, I just didn't want to mess with it too much. Maybe we can actually run it with my lab power supply and see what happens. Okay, so I got my two little lab power supply cords right here. I'll just connect whoa! Scared the heck out of me. Okay, something just happened. What in the world? I guess I'll try again, but I'm scared now. I mean, that... Let me try with the motor out. Okay, so clearly, the motor's still working. So I don't know. I don't even know. Is this thing even broke? Maybe it's not even broke. I bought a new one anyways, so at least the new one we know will be greased up better and whatever. But I mean, this is kind of surprising me. I just assume something's wrong with this thing, but it could just be a greasing issue. I just don't know. That's working. Huh. Well, maybe it's a blown fuse. I don't know. I mean, it seems like this whole thing would be working then. So, I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I bought a new one anyways. It was like $33. Maybe that was a waste. I assumed this thing would be dead because nothing was happening when I tried jumping the switch. In other words, switching it on didn't do anything. And I didn't hear this motor. So that could tell me that there's a blown fuse, since this clearly does have life in it. Alright, so editor's note here. Since the making of that video, I've done a lot more exploration. The fuse was fine. I replaced the actuator and the switch. Still had the same problem. There's actually no response from the car with a intact fuse, intact actuator, intact switch. So it turns out that the switch actually completes a circuit which sends a signal to the body control module, I believe, which then sends out a signal to a relay, which switches the relay on, which then sends power to this motor, which actuates the actuator. I believe the body control module is what's being unresponsive. It's not registering that the switch is being pressed. And so it may have burned out pin, or the whole body control module might be defective, or there could be possibly an open circuit on the wiring of the body control module. It's possible it could be that the relay failed, but I tried putting in a known good relay, and that didn't seem to have any impact at all. So I believe it's not a relay issue. I believe it's actually a bad body control module issue, or an open circuit somewhere in the wiring leading up to the body control module from the switch, something to that effect. I was able to wire from the relay, bypassing the relay, making the relay always hot, and then wiring that wiring to the switch, and then the switch just joins the always hot wiring to the motor to actuate the door, and I was able to get that working. So I can get the actual door to open, even without any involvement this way from the body control module at all. So I was able to bypass it as a temporary fix and get the button working. But I did screw up something else electrically, and the car won't start now, and the battery was severely parasitically drained since I last worked on it. So I've got a whole other troubleshooting process now to deal with that. I don't know what the heck I did while trying to fix this door. Now a whole bunch of other stuff's messed up. So I'm in a kind of frustrating situation at the moment with this. So maybe I didn't need to buy this. In fact, maybe I could try putting this back into the vehicle and searching out the blown fuse idea. This actually is still salvageable. I might return the new one I just bought, since this appears to be working. So we'll see, but I just wanted to show you guys. And I couldn't find the fuse on the fuse diagram. I'm going to have to look a little more online. I didn't actually search for the fuse at either of the fuse boxes on the vehicle yet, but I could maybe do that. So we'll see, but I just wanted to show you guys what the innards of a liftgate look like, and how to maybe troubleshoot it a little bit, and how it functions a little bit. And I think I did that for you guys. So yeah, that could maybe help somebody that is looking into trying to fix one of these liftgates as opposed to buying it, especially if you can't get it for $33 and it costs $300 or whatever, like a Mercedes. Or I mean, I even saw one for $300 that's an OEM one for my Nissan Murano. So they can be ridiculously priced, so knowing how to take this apart and fix it would be really beneficial. Also, these motors that are right here, let me tell you guys, you can buy this motor without the worm gear though. You can buy the motor itself for very, very cheap. This might help somebody. I would like to actually show you guys it on eBay, the motor itself. It's extremely cheap. So I'll be right back. I'm going to look it up. I have a bunch of them in my closet. Alright, so I was wrong. I thought I had ones just like this, but it turns out the ones I have are actually smaller. So this is a size 130 motor. It's called a 130 motor on eBay. And it's got the same shape, but it's actually significantly smaller. So here's the comparison. So that's 130 motor, and then here's a size 140 motor. It's got a different form factor. It's round. It's a little bit bigger than the 140. So I would guess it's a 150 motor. So look for a size 150 motor, and that should be about right. And look for one that's got flat face, and you should be able to replace it with that. But maybe any of one of these would work too if you just put the worm gear on them, and then you just have to solder the wires that lead to this motor into the wires on this. Make sure it's turning in the right direction. So you'd have to test the polarity, but that would be one way to do it. Just replace it with another little motor from eBay. These are brushed DC motors. So that's just food for thought if you wanted just to try to replace the motor itself if it were burned out.